You are never going to have work-life balance. Never. And here's why. Welcome to Recentered, the podcast, the audio sanctuary for Black women who are ready to design lives that feel as good on the inside as they look on paper. I'm your host, Naya. If you're ready to trade ambition without alignment for a life of meaning, balance, and personal power on terms you're obsessed with, without giving up what you've worked for, this is for you. Let's recenter. Work-life balance is a scam, a complete and total sham. And we've bought into it like we've bought into women being the ones to take birth control, even though we're only fertile for like 48 hours a month, while men are fertile every single moment of every single day. A scam. Society and the norms it gets us to buy into has us convinced that not having the right work-life balance is the real reason we're not living our absolute best lives. The reason we're always feeling behind in an on-again, off-again situationship with burnout and not living the joyful, soft lives we deserve. It couldn't possibly be the high demands and ridiculous expectation to perform at an unbelievably high level and being treated as an underperformer when setting boundaries, declaring limits, or straight up saying, "My plate is too full for this." Yeah, sure, it's not them, it's us. Still, we attempt these circus-worthy work-life balancing acts to no avail. It's a reason why our society has become obsessed with entrepreneurship. Be your own boss, reclaim your time. But baby, ask any entrepreneur and they will tell you, you will reclaim your time and then spend more time on your business than you even knew you had. It is not the ultimate path to freedom that Instagram makes it out to be. It's a path, but it may not be your best option. Whatever route you choose, chasing work-life balance keeps you focused on trying to balance these imaginary scales instead of making the kinds of changes that can actually give you the space you want and need. Things that can help you achieve true life balance, rather than the work-life balance myth. But we've been strategically disconnected from having a relationship with balance. The kind of balance where our personal needs get to take up as much space as any job, where our physical health, our literal vehicle for staying alive, is treated as a top priority, not like a pot of beans that sits on the back burner until everything else stops needing attention. Where sleep gets its lick back if work has been cutting into your quality time together. Where spontaneous work dinners aren't expected to cancel the friend dates you've been planning for weeks. Life balance allows for an autonomous and even distribution of personal energy. And that kind of balance may not even feel possible for you right now, or ever, especially if you feel like without your presence, everything falls apart. And if everything does fall apart, it just means more work for you later. So you double down on excellence now, hoping that it puts out a fire today and you can have clean air tomorrow. But you work with professional arsonists, so that ain't gonna happen. As I said, we've been strategically disconnected from having a relationship with balance. And because of that, we can't even see the fundamental problem with the concept of work-life balance. A life that has work-life balance is not a balanced life. You see, this linguistic trickery has us thinking that if we balance out work and life, we will have balance in our lives. But let's do the math. What is work and what is life? I know, this is hella existential. What is life? But let's look at them as categories. What goes in the work category? The tasks you do for the money, the meetings you have for the money, the events you have to go to for the money. That's work, really. Now let's look at life. It's your health, your family, your romantic relationships, your home, your travel, your friends, your religion, your spirituality, your ongoing learning, your recreation, your non-work goals, your joy, your entertainment, your curiosity. I know I could go on and on and on. How in the hell are you supposed to balance all that stuff against work? Like, be extra for real. And why should you? Let's talk about the meaning of balance real quick. But first, a little more math. Which weighs more, a ton of bricks or a ton of feathers? They weigh the same amount because it's a ton of each. Of course, it's going to take a lot more feathers than bricks to reach a ton, but it's still a ton. The idea that work should balance against all those parts of your life suggests that work should hold as much weight as every other thing in your life combined. I mean, a scam. How much weight do all these non work parts of your life hold to you if you got to pile them all up together just to weigh as much as work? That means everything else in your life is feathers, but your work life is made of bricks. Work is holding a lot of weight, huh? So even if you achieve this so called work life balance, does that look like a balanced life? Let's swap workout for something else. Let's say your fitness goals are the bricks. If you worked out a ton and put as much weight, no puns intended, on your gym habits as most of us do with work, literally it's the gym versus everything else, including work. If everything else has to fit in the little scraps of space that exist when you're not at the gym, people would think you were addicted to the gym. If you had a hobby that took up this kind of space, let's say you like to go thrifting or play video games or party all the time, people would be waiting in your living room to have an intervention with you. There is nothing else in life, except maybe raising children, that we think it's okay to prioritize so heavily that everything else in your life, even doing the basic care things to keep yourself alive, should take a back seat to. And this, my friends, is what we've been aspiring to. This is the work-life balance we think is going to save us. Yeah, it's a mess out here. And not for nothing, we've grown pretty comfortable with the idea that things that aren't work will only get a little piece of our day, while work will get the biggest, most valuable, most productive part of it. For clarity, I'm mostly talking about salaried roles where you don't clock out at a set time each day. However, I'm also talking about full-time stay-at-home moms. Whatever work you do that takes up all your day and then some applies here. So when we're deep in this commitment or obligation, we've grown to accept and expect to have very little left for the things we just enjoy. If you've ever achieved work-life balance, even if only for a few days or for one glorious week, you may have first noticed that you felt relieved. Some of that weight had been lifted off your shoulders. You had a little more space to breathe. It was nice. Silencing your notifications and not hearing Slack and Outlook pings all night, ignoring the ones that did cross your eyes, finally being able to catch up on the series you fell behind on, more quality time with people you love, whether that's virtual or in person, time to make yourself a meal and not having to pay a $17 surcharge to order food that only costs $20, a little more rest at night, a test drive of a morning routine that doesn't feel rushed. Look at you. Didn't it feel nice? But then you may have started to notice how fast the day would go by when you had that time on your hands. Maybe you started to feel like even this wasn't really enough balance, or that there was still more you'd like to do in a day that there still doesn't seem to be time for. Or maybe you noticed that your body actually got to relax and now your body wants to go to sleep earlier, which is nice, but maybe this also feels like it's cutting into your free time. Somehow, work-life balance still really ain't giving you enough life. In fact, the space it creates may have shown you all the other things you could and now feel like you should be working on. The garage that needs to be cleaned out, the leak you've been ignoring, those follow-up medical tests you never scheduled, that other personal project you abandoned. You didn't have the space to think about all of this when you were letting work run the whole show. And maybe you're not sure if you like having the space to think about all of this. If it's not one thing, it's another, right? But the question is, what's going to have the most long-term benefits in your life? So sure, when you finally have the time on your hands and space in your mind to think, no one wants to be accosted with all the things that haven't gotten done. But when you have the space to do those things, they can finally stop being things that sit in the back of your mind and make you feel guilty or irresponsible for not doing them when you're too busy to do them. Also, it gives you the space to make some shifts to how you approach things. Maybe at the time you went into some of these ventures or projects, the way you planned to handle them made sense for how you were living. Maybe getting around to medical things was the way you worked before, but now you recognize you need them to just make the appointment for you and you can go ahead and block off your calendar all up and around that time. Protecting that space and your peace because your health is a priority over anything else that could be going on. That's just the new way you treat your health. And that's that on that. Space to think, space to feel, space to remember the life you started before you disappeared from it might just be the space you need to help you recognize the changes you can make so that this version of your life stops being a life you want to ghost. Some of these changes aren't as small or as simple as locking down steady doctor's appointments. Sometimes these are mini overhauls to specific parts of your life. But to avoid them is to avoid your life. No matter how you spin it, no matter how nicely you might want me to word it, that's what it is. And if you don't have space for this right now, your first mission is to carve out a nook of protected space just for this, just for these personal life design revamps. Do not underestimate the power of even just 15 minutes a day. And when I say protected space, I mean make it a non negotiable part of your day until your life feels how you truly want it to feel. See, the truth is, I'm talking about us, are so conditioned to prioritize things that other people call us productive for and things that other people are affected by. It's no wonder that something like a doctor's appointment doesn't feel as important as whatever's going on at work that day. It's no wonder that this combination of being a good girl at work and being very available because other people are expecting you to be makes it hard to see how the things that only you need don't feel as important. Look, I grew up in a school system that awarded perfect attendance. Literally, we're going to give you praise for never missing a day. Rain, sleet, snow, whatever, you're going to show up. And what did that little button or ribbon or certificate mean? Ain't like you can cash those in for Outback Steakhouse coupons. Shouts out to you if you caught that reference. The little token of acknowledgement they gave you was just conditioning you to prioritize showing up, not missing a day. Like, you're not flexing on anyone because you didn't miss a day at third grade. And that day you kept sneak coughing under your hoodie is the day you probably should have stayed home. Fast forward, and homegirl is knocking back Theraflu between Zooms when she really needs to be laying down and watching some Prices Right. You're going above and beyond for those other obligations, but you are supposed to be going above and beyond for yourself, your primary obligation. But we'll talk about unnecessary excellence another day. Okay, so listen, we're already at a disadvantage here. If you work an 8-hour day and you sleep for 8 hours, which probably doesn't happen, so let's just say 6, you're already at 14 hours. Okay, great. 10 hours left in the day. But no, because we have to count work prep as work hours. So getting ready for work, getting to work physically and mentally, and getting back from work physically and mentally, we're probably looking at an 11-hour workday minimum. So now, only sleeping 6 hours, you've spent 17 hours of your day so far, and you have 7 left. But you're a human being who needs bathroom visits and time to eat. So let's just say that costs you another 90 minutes total in a day. That's 18 and a half hours. Of course, you'll need to get ready for bed at some point, and maybe you have a morning routine, maybe some morning devotionals, meditations, journaling, etc. That's at least another hour of getting ready to get in the bed at night, plus time spent getting up and acclimated in the morning. Now we're at 19 and a half hours. Have you been to the gym yet or worked out? Gone for a walk and come back to a quick yoga stretch? Let's call that 1 hour. 20 and a half hours done. Literally 3.5 hours left in the day. We haven't had any fun yet. We haven't run an errand. We haven't had a phone call. We haven't had a date night. We haven't watered the plants or tended to the garden. We haven't written a song or painted and sipped. And again, that 3.5 hours you have left is if you only sleep 6 hours. And all of this only applies to an 8-hour workday. This doesn't apply to moms. This doesn't apply to jobs that commit time theft against you, not allowing you to feel safe having time boundaries and logging off at a reasonable hour. With this setup, we are not coming out on top here. So as not to make the block too hot, I won't spill my techniques for how you can even the time theft score with a typical 9 to 5. You're going to have to DM me or email me for those. But when we see this setup we've got going on, we have got to get a lot more creative about how we organize commitments that require large blocks of our time. One method I can comfortably share as a way to rethink the give and take relationship we have with work is one method of combining a large time block obligation with someone's personal interests. Let me tell you about Amber. Amber is a music head, loves a good concert, music festival, absolutely loves to find a new artist long before they pop. She lives on SoundCloud, watching new artists start from the bottom. She does not work in the music industry. She works in sales. She's built up quite a career and has a pretty solid reputation, but building it has cost her a lot personally. Her personal life has suffered for her success. She's still bubbly and happy looking, and most people in her life think things are okay. She's doing well financially, drives a really nice car, house is always clean, and she's there for anyone who needs it when she's not doing a disappearing act and not answering her phone for weeks at a time. But when she's there, she's there. You know, she's not always there when you call, but you with me. Also, Amber has a good heart and a slick mouth and is witty. She keeps things light and fun. Unless she wanted you to know, you wouldn't know anything was ever wrong. And from the outside looking in, things seem fine. But ask her when's the last time she's been to a concert. Ask her when she's last been to a music festival. She still listens to SoundCloud sometimes, but she's become detached from the music scene. Ask her about it and watch her downplay it and change the subject. Amber doesn't have any kids. She's definitely the rich auntie who lives in another state. You would think that if she wanted to spend more time doing something outside of work, she would. But it's just that easy to become less intimate with a part of you that you love and grow apart in a way that you don't even notice until you, by chance, reunite with that thing. Without noticing, a big source of joy has gone missing from Amber's life. It's not the only source of joy she's lost, but she's quietly compromised on experiences and relationships that matter to her. So much so that it's not much of a compromise anymore. It's more like a graveyard of non-existent relationships. The thing that brought her the most internal satisfaction, like that calorie-dense internal satisfaction, those things aren't really on the table to feed her right now. It's like those friendships you thought would never change, but now you only really talk to wish each other a happy birthday. There's a sense of dissatisfaction in a life that's come to this, but it's not always clear what's to blame. Usually we just blame work. We're too busy, so now we're too tired, but it is what it is. Things will get better next week, next month, next quarter, soon, eventually. Now, what happens here to Amber and many other people is once they start to notice the dissatisfaction they feel isn't going away long after they thought it should, they look to the thing they spend the most time doing, work. They think, this is the problem. I'm bored here, or working too hard here, or can't grow here. If I can fix this, I can fix how I feel. So, Amber starts rethinking her career. She starts thinking about a promotion, so she positions herself for that. She starts meeting with the right people and taking the right projects and raising her profile. She does the things. And then someone more senior, who she has good rapport with, lets her know, you're about to get passed over. The next cycle might be your best bet. It's a blow, but she eats it. Though she realizes she wants this more than she thought. Now, I'm going to drop a major spoiler. It's not this promotion she wants, but she doesn't know that yet. Because she's been cleaning up her LinkedIn as a part of her strategy to get this promotion, some recruiters start sniffing around. She has a great rep, so she takes some meetings, some lunches, a happy hour. She's not looking per se, but if someone has a nice offer, But after a bunch of weeks of those outings, nothing. Not a call back, not an email reply. Now she's getting nervous. Amber wasn't looking for a new job a couple of months ago, but no promotion and no formal interviews after these recruiter dates. Maybe she's missing something. So maybe a certification or a leadership program or something that looks sexy on a resume. Because how come all of a sudden no one wants her? I mean, she's Amber. She's that girl. Like, what the F? But let's go back to where this started. Amber wasn't dissatisfied with her job. She was dissatisfied with her life. She thought tinkering around with her job and her career would fix that. Amber has lost her connection with things that are important to her, so those things don't get a chance to fill her cup now. The only cup activity she's getting is with her job, so the assumption is this is what I need to fix. And she could be right. But if she's going to go the route of seeking out a new job, another job like the one she has isn't the answer. That wouldn't make her life better, even if they promise her a better work life balance, which we already know is a scam. So that doesn't solve the problem. But what if her work served her life? What if she chose a job that helped her meet other personal goals and satisfy those personal interests? What if she took her sales skills and moved into the music industry or something adjacent? What if it became part of her job to go to the music festivals she loves but doesn't have the time for? What if she found a role where part of her job was to scout up and coming artists on SoundCloud and use her sales skills to get those artists more attention or to get those artists to get on board with an opportunity she sells them on? Her skills are incredibly transferable, so this isn't far fetched at all. But this isn't how we typically approach finding a new job to get a better work life balance. We look for the slightest amount of fewer hours and better boundaries. But look at that clock math I just did. When your work is a block of time spent doing tasks that you wouldn't do if you didn't have that job, you're hemorrhaging precious hours and still don't have enough to live a full life. Amber, like many of us, would be wise to broaden our job search to other industries that, by default, offer us a better quality of life because they are in alignment with our personal interests. And I haven't even gone into the unusual non salary perks you can attempt to negotiate to bring more balance into your life. Now, I don't always recommend making a job out of your personal passions, and this isn't the best route for everyone. Still, I offer this one view of finessing the skills you've already honed in your career because it is a path to getting you more things you want in life and making more out of this thing that takes up a big block of your time most days. I also heavily support taking boring jobs that don't take up a lot of your brain power so you can have time on your hands during the workday and after. So again, don't rule out a role because it's not the next step on the career ladder you've been climbing. Give it a real look and see if it's helpful to your next step on your life vision ladder. If you're already in this space, as in you're not overwhelmed with work, but you're becoming overwhelmed with how bored you are or how easy your job has become, finding a new job should probably be off the table. Your job is easy and boring? Great! Stop looking for an employer to give more to and give that more to your own personal interests. Use that space and energy to build out the rest of your life. Who needs an exciting job if you have an exciting life? Let's put that on a t-shirt. When I say build out the rest of your life, I'm talking about the other parts. There are 8 key sections of our lives that I refer to as pillars. These 8 pillars are all centered around areas of wellness. They are physical wellness, environmental wellness, emotional wellness, mental wellness, spiritual wellness, social wellness, financial wellness, and occupational wellness. Your career lives in the occupational wellness pillar. It's one of many things that belongs in that pillar. So when we're talking about balance, we can't possibly have that by making life a showdown of one part of one pillar versus literally everything else. No. I always find it incredibly helpful whenever you're looking to make a major life change, changes in your career included, to review the bigger vision you have for your life and to make sure this change doesn't derail that bigger vision. I have a few tools that help you do exactly that. The right tool for you depends on how clear a picture you already have of your big life vision. Sometimes we get so excited about a new opportunity, or we get so desperate for change, that we don't stop to evaluate how this thing is going to affect the other areas of our lives that we depend on for different kinds of stability, joy, or meaning. Having that clear picture, or even an organized blueprint for my A type girlies, can keep you from unintentionally creating an imbalance in your life when you were trying to make things better. This may be a good time to tell you that I developed a life design and life management system called PLAD that helps you easily manage and organize every section of your life. It helps you keep track of your missions and goals and key areas of focus so the things that matter to you don't get forgotten or left behind if things get busy. I'm really not trying to plug it, but I want you to know that I've done a bit of work and research around this topic, and I've seen how it helps people organize their thoughts and clarify their vision of a personally purpose filled life. I have a video about it on YouTube and my website and some other free material about all of this, so I won't break it all the way down to you right here and now. And yes, I've added the links wherever links are on this thing. My point is, when you're seeking out life balance, it helps when you evaluate how much a major change you're considering works with or against the other parts of your life. Will it take away from something? Will it surprisingly support something else you've been trying to achieve? Does it sound like a great idea, but actually really doesn't do much to advance your life vision? Having a way to keep track of those things, even if you use a notes app or journal, gives you a framework for managing that balance. And you can always evaluate a new opportunity against the framework you have. Like I said, this is really useful when you're presented with the opportunity for a major change. However, if you're in the unique position to be underwhelmed with your obligations and think that a new job is the best way to spice things up, taking a quick look at your framework might prove otherwise. You might see that the time on your hands and mental space you have available would be welcomed in these parts of your life that took a back seat to your professional aspirations. All those things you said you'd come back to later? Well, baby girl, when you've worked hard enough in your job that it's become easy, I think it's safe to say that now is later. It's time. I hope you understand why I have such a disdain for people telling you that all you need to do is have a better work life balance and things will be fine. Because all the ways we try to go about it just treat the symptoms at best. The true problem is that we don't have enough free hours in a day. So we have to work really hard at structuring our days, weeks, months, years, and lives so that the other things that feed us are actively a part of our daily lives. We also have to stop thinking about balance in terms of work versus life and get specific about what exactly is under that umbrella of life. It would look more like work versus health versus family versus playtime versus my love of cooking versus my time at open mic nights versus dinner with the girlies, etc. Name the things. Get in perspective what you're saying no to when you lump it all into that one category called life, and how you're not giving these things space to spread out in your life, nor be treated like a priority. All of the things in your life are competing for attention, but they do that most when they're not getting enough attention. And enough means whatever you decide you need for your relationship with the thing to be where you want it to be. This is a big topic because this is a big norm that I'm inviting you to reject. And it may not feel easy. Hearing this may feel super frustrating. I get that. I'm not suggesting you just up and get out of the entanglement you have with your career or job or work. I'm suggesting you stop buying into the idea that the reason your life is out of balance is because you aren't doing a good job of creating work life balance. That part isn't on you. But the part where you truly survey your life and start making personally meaningful and important things have a non negotiable place in your life, well, that part you can do something about. You can do plenty about it, actually. So today, I'm going to offer you a quick thought to sit with. Think about some things that are important to you, like your health, that you wish you felt safe to prioritize over your primary daily activity, which is probably your job. You can think about instances where you didn't prioritize this thing and wish you would have. Or you can think about areas of your life you know you quote unquote should prioritize in theory, but feel is too risky to do in practice. Just sit with what those things are and how much longer you're okay to keep that up. You do have choices, but if you don't start to think about an exit strategy for this type of behavior and thinking, you will keep this up. No pressure, just offering you some thoughts. Now, just one final word on the career shift stuff. If you're in a space where you're thinking about shifting jobs for any reason, please, please, please check out my piece on vocational incompatibility before you take any leaps. That link is with the other links. I have seen so many people go down that grueling path of job hunting and not having a clue that they're pushing the balance and purpose and satisfaction they seek even further away. This piece walks you through how to approach finding the right personal fit when you're looking for a change in role, especially one that isn't just a straightforward step up the ladder. This piece is especially timely if you wish for a role that has more personal meaning, feels more purposeful, or is more fulfilling. Even if you're not on the job hunt today, this piece will get you together. This life you built didn't exist 20 years ago. The things you're able to do now weren't possible like this 20 years ago. You made this happen. And some of it is more than you thought you could pull off when you started down this road. You had some twists and turns, and you've surprised yourself. You can surprise yourself again. You may not feel like you're living the dream today, but there was a time you dreamed of some of this. And that's all it was, a dream you worked for. Things that people said wouldn't happen for you. Things that no one before you had done. Things that plenty of people tried to block from happening for you. But look at you now. And that can be you again. Living out a vision that people today don't think can happen, people including you. Living out a version of life that you're obsessed with. Living with a level of peace that no one in your lineage has ever lived with before. The life you're living now may have seemed pretty far-fetched at one point in your life, but here you are now, waking up to it every day. I know what I've said today is a little bit radical, but aren't you? Because you've radically defied so many odds. You radically make magic happen when you don't always have the resources to do so. You've radically given the middle finger to all the isms that try to keep you in some white supremacist, patriarchy-determined place that they want you to belong in. You have radically decided that you are enough, even though people spend big money trying to convince you that you are not, every single day. Don't stop being radical on me now. Thanks for listening to this episode of Recentered. Again, I'm your host, Naya, and it's been an honor to hold space with you today. For more recentering resources, check out the links I've left for you, wherever links typically hang out on this platform.